Hi everyone, you're being lied to about SCHD, not by the fund itself, SCHD is excellent, but by everyone telling you that it's the only dividend play worth owning. Wall Street loves when retail investors put all their eggs in one basket. Easier to predict, easier to beat. Here's what the professionals won't tell you. 3 specific ticker symbols crush SCHD's long-term numbers while still paying you quarterly. The second one I reveal turned $10,000 into over $75,000 in a decade. That's 7.5 times your money. What if you didn't have to choose between SCHD's reliability and Fidelity's firepower? You can own both. By the end of this video, you'll have the exact blueprint, customized by age, for a 4-fund fortress that pays you now and compounds aggressively for later. First up, the rocket fuel, ticker FTEC, Fidelity's Technology Index. FTEC tracks 289 companies controlling America's technology landscape. Not fluff. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, the names dominating cloud infrastructure, semiconductor production, and enterprise software. This isn't speculation. These businesses print money and you get all of them for 0.08% annually. 8 basis points. That's cheaper than Vanguard's equivalent. But fees don't build wealth. Performance does. Between December 2015 and December 2025, FTEC delivered a jaw-dropping result. Your $10,000 position, it became $75,147. The annualized rate was 22.4%. That's nearly double what the S&P 500 handed you over the same stretch. Do the math on your own situation. If you're sitting on $50,000 in a boring index, moving even half of that into FTEC over the last decade would have added an extra $200,000 to your net worth. Opportunity cost is real. Now, here's the part your advisor won't mention. In 2022, when markets corrected, FTEC dropped 29%. If you're 62 years old and retiring in 3 years, that swing will wreck your plans. This ticker belongs in the aggressive bucket. For people under 50 with time on their side, it's rocket fuel. For anyone closer to retirement, tread carefully. The beauty of FTEC isn't just past performance, it's the quality of what you own. You're not buying speculative startups hoping to become the next big thing. You're owning businesses that already run the digital economy. When companies need cloud computing, they go to Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services. When consumers upgrade phones, Apple captures that spending. When automakers need chips for electric vehicles, Nvidia supplies the technology. These aren't trends. These are entrenched revenue streams. Second weapon, income that actually compounds. Ticker FDVV, Fidelity's high dividend strategy. Most high-yield funds are traps. They buy garbage companies offering unsustainable payouts just to juice the advertised yield. FDVV filters differently. It screens for free cash flow, strength, payout ratios that make sense, and 5-year dividend trajectories pointing upward. Right now, FDVV yields 3.02%, competitive with SCHD's 3.6%. Sure, but here's where it separates itself. The top holdings aren't ancient utility monopolies slowly dying. Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple. These are businesses paying dividends while simultaneously delivering price appreciation. Check the 5-year record. FDVV returned 17.4% annually. That means your quarterly checks were arriving while your principal climbed. On a $100,000 stake, you're collecting $3,020 per year, $251 monthly, while the underlying value increases. That's real passive income, not yield-chasing nonsense that evaporates the moment markets turn. And the expense ratio? Identical. Just 0.15%. On $100,000, you're paying $150 yearly to access 119 curated dividend growers. Compare that to paying a financial advisor 1% annually. $1,000 on the same amount to pick inferior stocks. Here's what makes FDVV different from traditional dividend traps. It doesn't just look at current yield. The methodology examines whether companies can sustain and grow those payouts. A 7% yield means nothing if the company cuts dividends next quarter. FDVV prioritizes businesses with pricing power, recurring revenue, and balance sheets, strong enough to weather recessions while maintaining distributions. That's the difference between collecting checks for decades versus watching your income disappear when markets get choppy. The third ticker, the Shield, FHLC, Fidelity's Healthcare Index. When everything bleeds, healthcare holds. People don't postpone cancer treatments because the Nasdaq dropped. They don't skip insulin because tech stocks corrected. FHLC owns 334 healthcare names spanning pharmaceuticals, biotech, and medical devices. United Health, Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson. From December 2015 through December 2025, FHLC turned $10,000 into $25,019. That's 150% cumulative gain, with significantly less volatility than tech. The annualized rate was 9.6%. Not flashy, not sexy, but in 2022, when the broader market fell hard, healthcare stood firm. This is your insurance policy. If you've built a $500,000 nest egg and you're approaching the finish line, owning FHLC means sleeping soundly when headlines scream panic. The expense ratio? Same 8 basis points as FTEC. Healthcare isn't just defensive. It's positioned for demographic tailwinds that last decades. The American population is aging. By 2030, every single baby boomer will be over 65. That means more prescriptions, more procedures, more demand for medical innovation. FHLC lets you profit from that inevitability without picking individual pharmaceutical winners. You own the entire ecosystem. Here's what nobody else is teaching. You don't pick one and ignore the rest. You stack all four strategically. If you're between 35 and 45, volatility is your friend. Time heals all wounds in compounding. Allocate 40% to FTEC, 30% to SCHD, 20% to FDVV, and 10% to FHLC. You're maximizing tech exposure while building a reliable income stream that kicks in later. At this age, you can afford a 30% correction because you have 20 plus years to recover. Lean into assets that maximize long-term compounding. If you're between 50 and 60, the math shifts. You're still accumulating, but you need downside protection. Go 30% SCHD, 25% FTEC, 25% FDVV, and 20% to FHLC. You're still participating in tech's upside, but you've got serious dividend coverage and defensive positioning when corrections hit. This balance lets you sleep at night while maintaining enough exposure to stay ahead of inflation. Over 60 and withdrawing? Safety wins. Allocate 40% to SCHD, 30% to FDVV, 20% to FHLC, and just 10% to FTEC. At this stage, you cannot afford a 30% tech meltdown. You need checks arriving quarterly and sectors that don't crater when sentiment shifts. Capital preservation and reliable income become more important than chasing maximum returns. Here's what nobody talks about. Even the best tickers underperform if you're using the wrong brokerage. Fidelity offers fractional shares. That means every $10 left over at month end starts compounding immediately instead of sitting in cash earning nothing. Schwab has elite research tools for tax-efficient rebalancing, so you're not triggering unnecessary capital gains every time you adjust. Your financial advisor makes more money when your situation stays complicated. A simple 4-fund strategy? That threatens their entire fee structure. Complexity is sold as sophistication. It's not. It's overhead. The blueprint is simple. FTEC for aggressive upside, FDVV for income that grows, FHLC for recession resistance, SCHD for proven dividend consistency. Customize the percentages based on your age, rebalance once a year, ignore the noise. I do the research so you don't waste weekends digging through prospectuses. If you want to know which Charles Schwab tickers might actually outperform these, Fidelity picks in a direct comparison. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next breakdown drops soon, and you won't want to miss it. Disclaimer: this content is educational, not financial advice. All investments carry risk, including potential loss of principal. Consult a qualified professional before making decisions. This is Invest ED, building wealth the boring way that actually works. Smash that like button and subscribe for strategies Wall Street won't tell you. Smart investing, profitable results.